Okay, we're going to begin Parsha Lite on Parshas Va'era. Okay, we just want to let everybody know that tonight's class is sponsored by the Polster family on the yortzeit of Sarah's father, Mendel Schwartzberg. So his neshama should have an aliyah from the Torah that we're learning tonight. Amen. And he should experience a redemption like the Jewish people are experiencing a redemption in these parshios. So that I remember to do that. And let's begin. This is an extremely short pasuk that you're going to look at tonight. It appears to be an extremely easy pasuk that you're going to look at tonight, but you already know that looks can be deceiving. And the easier it is, the harder or more complex it could be. So we're getting into the minhag now for us to just do the first pasuk of the parsha, and it sets the tone for the parsha. As last week's Parsha Shmos, I think I'm hearing somebody coming up the hallway. Hopefully, oh yes. So that means I'm going to have to share the screen with the TV. Yes. Okay, I've got company, so I'm gonna have to share this. Give me just 1 second, guys. 1 second. Okay, and let's just share the screen. Mirror the screen. Okay, now we got 2 people in here. Three. Where's the third guy? Okay. All right. So now everybody's back. All right, so let's take a look at this one pasuk that we're going to look at. Let me make sure I've got everything that you could see it all together here. Okay, so let's set the stage. Let's set at the end of last week's parsha. The end of last week's parsha, where Moshe goes with Aaron to Paro. He demands in the name of Hashem that he let the Jewish people go. Paro says, I don't know anything about it. I never heard anything about it. I don't know about your God. And on top of that, he says, you guys are a bunch of lazy guys. And now I'm going to make the work much harder for the Jewish people. And indeed, it was much harder. And that was 6 months of really terrible work. And when Moshe comes back on the scene, many of the leaders of the Jewish people are really upset with Moshe. So we end the parsha with these words. Then Moshe turns to Hashem and says, Hashem, why did you bring harm upon this people? Why did you send me? Ever since I came to Paro to speak in your name, he has dealt worse with this people, and still you have not delivered your people. Okay, that's God's question. That's Moshe's question. That's Moshe's question. What are you doing? So what does Hashem say to Moshe? And Moshe has a good criticism. He's saying, if you're sending me to get the Jews out, then get them out. And if you weren't planning on sending them out, what did you send me for? And for those who were at the Parsha class last week, we talked a lot about that idea. So you'd expect Hashem would give him an answer. And at the end of the parsha, all Hashem says is, you shall soon see what I will do to Paro. He shall let them go because of a greater might. Indeed, because of a greater might, he shall drive them from his land. Basically, Hashem saying, you're going to see what I'm going to do. Really did not answer the question, because the question was, wonderful. So then you should have sent me now, not 6 months earlier. Doesn't seem to answer the question at all. And then we're going to have this pasuk, the whole 8 words, And then after these 8 words, Hashem continues to speak and he delivers the famous 4 expressions of redemption, of which he's saying exactly how they're going to leave Egypt. Okay, and here we've got this 8-word pasuk. There are no hard words in this pasuk. And today, instead of me asking a lot of questions for you to answer, I want you to come up with all the questions. It's, we ended the Parsha that Hashem spoke to Moshe. So we're starting the new Parsha just as a continuation of what's going on. And we get these words that Hashem is going to say. And there's 2 Rashis on that, and Rashi notices a number of things. So I'm not going to give you a heck of a lot of time to go on your own to the breakout rooms because there's not a lot to read. But you should notice a lot of unusual things in the pasuk. You should notice a lot of discrepancy in the pasuk. And that's what I want you to be able to share with me. What are the discrepancies that you notice? Then we're going to look at Rashi, then we'll see what the commentators have to say with that. Okay, I think it's pretty straightforward. And guess what? Yes, I did. Guess what I did not? Oh yeah, I recorded it. Okay, so let's stop. It's there. So I'll stop the share and we'll see how the breakout rooms are going to look today. Let's see, how many people do I got? 2, 3, 4. I got 6 groups. Well, it can't be 3 groups of 3. That would need 9 people.
3 groups of 2. No, 3 groups will make of 2 each. Yeah. 1 group will be 3.
We'll make 3 groups.
No.
Let's see what the 3 groups look like. Let's see what happens. See if everyone's going to get along together. Okay. I think it's good. I think it's good. Okay, we're going to break out into the groups, and we're not going to give you more than 10 minutes. But come up with really solid questions. You should have at least 3 solid inconsistencies. So let's open the rooms, and let's hope everybody is good. Okay, we're back in action. Let's share the screen. Where's the screen share? Let's share the screen. This looks like Sue is exercising.
Moving rooms.
That's good. Exercise.
I'm going to take Aaron out. Go.
Okay.
She's on her what?
Exercise.
Okay, we got most, I don't know, I can't figure a way to be able to see everybody at the same time and to share the screen. It's very hard to do that.
You had it good on the top.
At the top, it doesn't give you everybody. You see, I got to click to get the last person. I don't know why I can't give you everybody, but anyway, maybe I get rid of myself. I don't have to see myself. Oh, seems I have to see myself. Okay, let's start. Who would like to read this extremely difficult pasuk? Extremely difficult pasuk. Anybody from the audience?
Sure, I'll read it, Rabbi.
Okay, Jay, go for it.
Please make corrections if necessary. Vayidaber Elohim el Moshe, Vayomer Elav, Ani Hashem.
Well read. Now, what does it mean?
Well, it said Hashem said to Moshe, and tell him, I am the Lord.
Well, you got the first clause right and the third clause right. The middle one we got to fix up.
And said to him?
And
saying to him, I guess.
Said to him.
What does Vayomer mean?
And he said to him.
And he said to him.
Okay.
Okay, so let's review that again. Vayidaber Elohim el Moshe. Hashem spoke to Moshe. Vayomer Elav and said to him, Ani Hashem. Okay, I am Hashem. Okay, what are the questions that we have over here?
I got one.
Anybody?
I got one.
Okay, Steve. Steve has one.
First question is, we already know just before that Hashem speaking to Moshe. Why are we saying it again?
Okay, the first question is, it says Hashem was speaking to Moshe. Why is it saying it again? As a matter of fact, let's just go to a chumash for a minute.
He said it like 3 times.
Okay, I'm trying to get a chumash up here. Let's just go to any chumash. I'm gonna just put it on the screen for a minute.
We don't need the second line.
Hang on.
Yeah, Hashem
Why
said
is it
Moshe
not
to him.
responding? Okay, here we go. Was this Perik Vav? Okay, here, let's take a look. I'm gonna share the screen with you in a minute so you can all see this.
How about
I'm gonna
Hashem
stop one
spoke
share and start
to
another
Moshe,
share.
say, and he said to him.
Stop the share, share the screen. Now we're gonna do the desktop. Okay, now you see the chumash in the middle here?
Ah.
Yeah, okay. So that was, this over, maybe make it a little bigger. I don't know. It's gonna take me too long to make this bigger. Let's see, one more, zoom in. That wasn't so great. Let's try one more.
You figured a program called Zoom and Zoom.
Okay, now, look over here. Vayomer Hashem El Moshe. Atosira, you will see now what I'm gonna do to the paro. Okay, good. Now, how about if I just erase this pasuk? If I just take it out, and I would go from Hashem said to Moshe, now you'll see what I'm gonna do to Paro. And then Vayrel Avram, and I appeared to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov by my name, Kel Shakai, my name of Hashem, I never let them know. And I established blah, 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 blah. If I didn't have this pasuk at all, would you felt missed anything?
Nothing at all.
No,
No.
Like, what's going on over here?
The whole sentence.
What's going on here? So number one, the entire pasuk seems to be extra. And again, this always seems to happen. You see a little pattern here?
Yeah.
The beginning of the parsha, the first pasuk, last week we had the same thing, didn't we? Elish Shmos B'nai Yisrael.
Yeah.
Didn't tell us anything we didn't know. As a matter of fact, we said the first 7 psukim were totally not necessary.
Mhm.
So again, isn't it ironic that the pasuk that's so not necessary is the first pasuk of the parsha, and it's the name of the parsha. And we saw last week how that was extremely important because it was teaching us how to avoid and to survive the exile.
Yeah.
That was the whole book. So you're seeing an interesting pattern over here. I don't know, I have to do a little research how often this is, but does everybody understand why this pasuk is totally not necessary?
Yeah, I agree.
Because Hashem responded to Moshe at the end of the parsha. You're going to see what I'm going to do to him. And then he can continue and say, and I appeared to Avram, and I'm going to keep my promise, etc., etc. So what is this doing over here? That's question number one. So I could cut this out now and go back to, do you see the text on the screen now?
Yeah.
In Zoom land, you're good. It's better just I just
do, you know
share
that.
the screen. I see you're all looking so tired out there. Bunch of these tired, except for Chaya. She's so smiling away. She's so happy. To feel,
Florida.
of course she's happy. She's in Florida. She probably even got the vaccine already. No, not yet. Anyway, she's in a free state. Okay, anyway, so that's the first problem. The pasuk is totally extra.
Yeah.
One. Okay, what else is, even, let's take that to the side. What else is troubling with this pasuk?
Hashem.
So ask a question.
No, he's saying.
Is commanding and is asking both things.
Well, if you recall,
Yeah.
what is Vayidaber? You have Vayidaber and Vayomer. You can't have 2 Hebrew words that mean the same thing.
Yeah.
But each time saying he spoke, he spoke. Now, let's go see if you can remember something we taught you about 1.5 years ago in Parsha Lite.
Well, Vayidaber means spoke strongly to Moshe.
Aha, Vayidaber, Dibur is to speak strongly, and Vayomer is?
To say
it's
it.
casual.
It's more,
To
it's
speak
a gentler form.
gentler. So what's going on? Was he speaking hard or is he speaking gentle? Okay, what else? What about the name of Hashem?
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
2 different names for Hashem. We have Elohim and we have Hashem.
what's
Or
Elohim?
Yod-Heh, Vav-Heh.
What does
Elohim
Elohim
is
usually mean? What does it usually
Elohim
mean?
is a God of judgment.
The God of judgment. And what does the Yud Hey Vav Hey mean?
And that is God of mercy.
The God of mercy. Now, how is Moshe referred to in this pasuk? What words are using Moshe as the object? One's easy. One's like really easy.
Judging.
No, Moshe.
Oh, what? Oh, yeah.
Okay, Moshe.
His name's
Right?
Yeah, that
Is
Is there another word that is being used as Moshe as well?
No.
Elah.
Yes.
Elah.
Yeah.
A love to him.
Him.
So look at this pasuk.
Why?
It's mind-boggling.
Why?
The judging God spoke harshly to Moshe,
And said to Moshe.
and he spoke softly to him with compassion. Now, this, as I'd say in French, this pasuk is crazy. You think.
In French, it's fou. F-O-U.
So if it is extra, it's probably a little bit of this craziness is trying to give us what the message is, no? So here's a easy pasuk to translate, but mind-boggling to figure out what in the world is, and this is not the name of the parsha, because the name of the parsha is the next pasuk, va'era, and I appeared. So it's not going to be the name of the parsha, but obviously it is setting things up for us as he references the patriarchs' loyalty. They never questioned me. I made so many promises. They didn't see the total fulfillment of the promises yet. So let's take a look at the two Rashis today. And they're going to be very interesting. And Rashi is going to be tipping us off as to what's going on over here. So let's see. So Rashi right away picks up on this Vayidaber Elokim El Moshe. So let's see what Rashi says, and you could write it in your English as you wish to do that. Okay. Vayidaber Elokim. Diber Ito. What does Diber Ito mean?
Speak to them.
Tell
No,
him.
he spoke
I spoke to him.
with him. Mishpat. Mishpat is judgment. Words of judgment. I don't understand what the problem. There's always
It's not the usual.
1 second. Just give me 1 second, guys.
Mishpat means judges.
What are you talking about?
That's never good. You look more concerned than usual. He spoke with him words of judgment. Hi, Jay and Kathy. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Steve.
Nobody can hear me from behind the mask and the screen.
Here. Now I'm safe.
There you go. Be COVID safe. There we go. Yeah. So we were a bit late.
You have to press the FM button to get the volume up. It's the keyboard that does that.
Yeah, I'm glad I went. I wasn't going to. I was on that. I got a house at 7:15. I got 6:30 phone.
All right. Hi. Hey. There you go.
Okay, sorry.
Hi.
Deal with some items. Sorry about that.
Lots to deal with later.
Okay, so anyway, Diber Ito Mishpat. He spoke with him words of judgment. Why? Al, on account of Shehiksha Lidaber, that Moshe spoke harshly Velomar, and he said, Moshe said at the end of last week's Parsha, Lama hareyosa lama zeh, Lama, why? Hareyosa, did you do bad, Lama zeh, to these people, to this nation? So Rashi is hinting to a midrash. The midrash says that the attribute of justice wanted to strike Moshe down because Moshe had the audacity to criticize Hashem. Okay, he had the audacity to do that.
So on account of what is Shehiksha? What does that mean?
Shehiksha from word kasha, hard.
Harshly.
He spoke harshly. He said, why have you done bad to the Jewish people?
Moshe is speaking harshly.
Yeah. He's criticized.
Before, in the psukim before that I showed you before.
6:1. He said, why you
He spoke harshly to him. So Hashem, so God's attribute of justice came very strongly to say, maybe we should kill this guy. Okay? So now you can understand why it's Vayidaber Elokim El Moshe. God, the God of justice, spoke harshly against Moshe. He's speaking words of justice, contemplating maybe to punish him. So this Rashi is very supportive of the front end of the pasuk.
Yeah.
The front end of the pasuk is discussing how Hashem is really speaking, harshly, and is contemplating what kind of justice to mete out to Moshe.
He said something different.
Okay, which you wouldn't have known from the other psukim. But on the other hand, he has softer clause. Vayomer Elov ani Hashem. He said to him, I am Hashem. Now this is very interesting. We have ani Hashem many times in the Torah.
Yeah.
Many times in the Torah. And Rashi will use this next clause often. And in this is the subtle answer. Remember, one of the problems was Hashem doesn't seem to answer Moshe's criticism, right? Moshe said, why did you send me? Why did you send me? So let's see what this Rashi says. Very important. So Rashi says, Ne'emon, he is trustworthy. Hashem is trustworthy. Lishalem, to repay, Sachar Tov, a good reward. La mishalchim lefonai, who walk before me. In other words, Hashem rewards people who do his will. Ani Hashem, I am the Lord of kindness. We'll see what Rashi is driving at. And you can trust me. L'shalem sachar tov, to give a good reward, to those who walk before me. That means to do my will.
So Naaman means?
I'm sorry?
Naaman means?
Naaman's from Emunah,
Yeah, Muna.
trustworthy. Naaman. So I'm saying, I'm a trustworthy God. If people walk before me, I'm going to pay you back. Velo lechinam shalachticha. Velo, and not lechinam, for nothing. Shalachticha, did I send you? I didn't send you for nothing. You thought I sent you for nothing? I did not send you for nothing. So what did I send you for? Ki'im, but lekayem dvari, to fulfill my words. To fulfill my words. Shidibarti, that I spoke, la'avos harishonim, to the earlier patriarchs. What does that mean? And that's coming up in the next psukim now, where Hashem says, and I appeared to the patriarchs. I didn't appear to them with the holy name of Ani Hashem. I appeared to him in a different way, and I made a lot of promises which I had not yet kept, but they didn't question my ways. So what's Rashi driving at over here? People could wonder. So Hashem's saying, don't worry. You're going to get your reward. I did not send you for nothing. I sent you to fulfill my words that I spoke to the patriarchs. So what in the world does that mean?
The bris milah, covenant.
Well, there's a covenant, but no one's making a bris right now. Okay.
Fulfilled what he said.
So anyway, but at first blush, we could say what Rashi is saying is that in spite of the fact that Hashem wanted to punish Moshe, but he says, but on the other hand, I feel your pain for the Jewish people, right? Because why do you think Moshe was criticizing Hashem? It was criticizing Hashem because he felt bad for the Jewish people. Things were worse. So on the one hand, Hashem is kind of saying, okay, on the one hand, I should let you have it. But on the other hand, listen, you're doing my will. And you know, what's the real will is that I want you to love other Jews. So you're loving other Jews. So I take that into consideration. So lesson number one, according to this simple understanding, is that although sometimes a Jew may speak very critically of Hashem, but Hashem looks at the source of the criticism. And if the source of the criticism, when you daven to Hashem, you got to speak respectfully to Hashem. But sometimes you could be speaking out of great pain because of the great love that you have for the Jewish people. And for the great love that you have for the Jewish people, that Hashem takes that into consideration. It's not because of your own pain. It's because you're watching Jews suffer. And you can't stand watching Jews suffer. And at the end of the day, that's what Hashem wants more than anything else, is to care about his children. So that's a simple level, But now let's take it to a deeper level of what's going on over here. And this is brought to you by one of the commentaries, the Hasidic commentaries, the Tiferes Shlomo. And he says, a person has to realize that whenever you're doing anything for Hashem, whether it's learning Torah, davening, whatever you're doing, and you're doing that, you have to really know that there's no way we can really do anything without Hashem's help. Like when we start the Amida, what's the first words you say before the Amida? What do you say? Hashem sfasai tiftach ufi yagiti l'sech. Hashem, open up my mouth and let me sing your praises. So therefore, before you start anything, you got to humble yourself a little bit. And you got to say, Hashem, I'm not that presumptuous to assume I could do anything for you. So you have to make yourself a little bit of humility. That's number one. But now what he's saying is an important thing. The important point that he's saying is that you should realize what kind of privilege you have to serve Hashem. The fact that Hashem is even interested in listening to your prayers. The fact that Hashem has given you his holy Torah to learn. Okay. So what can happen often? What can happen often is that you can fail. You can fail. You wanted to do something. You wanted to do it really bad. He wanted to do the shlichus. He wanted to fulfill the shlichus. And Hashem says, you got to realize, it's not the results that matter. The results aren't up to you, Moshe. And therefore Hashem first speaks to him strongly. And then he says, you got to remember, Ani Hashem, who you're standing in front of. And if you remember who you're standing in front of, the real point that you have to understand is that I could take care of this by myself. I could just take the Jews up by myself. I don't need you. So that's what Rashi is saying in the second Rashi. That Hashem on the one has been critical of Moshe. On the other hand, he's saying, you know what? Don't worry. I'm going to give you a reward. You only had one job to do. You think that when I give you a job to do, it means you need to succeed. Who says that's your concern? I sent you to do a job. I sent you to go to Paro and tell the Jewish people that they got to go. You did your job. You did exactly what I said you had to do. and the fact that Paro made things worse, that has nothing to do with you. That's nothing to do with you. You got to remember, just like when you're davening, you daven Hashem, if I don't give you the power to speak, you can't speak. If I don't give you the power to understand the Torah you're learning, you're not going to understand the Torah. Any amount of success you can ever have is only to be attributed to me. So of course, Moshe wanted to do the will of Hashem. So he's really getting all excited to do the will of Hashem. Once he bought into it, said, okay, I'm going to do it. So he did it with his whole heart. And when he sees that Paro doesn't listen to him, and he sees that things have become worse, so he's saying, well, what's going on over here? So Hashem says, Ani Hashem. Know in front of who you're talking. Know in front, who are you talking to? You're talking to one that has all the power and gives all the power. And the point is, as Rashi says, I'm trusted to give a reward to those who go before Hashem. And you said I sent you for nothing. I didn't send you for nothing. Kim l'kayim devarai, just to fulfill my words. That's it. I asked you to fulfill my words. You did fulfill my words. It's not your business to worry why things got worse. You need to worry about one thing. Did you do the job you were asked to do? Yes. That's it. Vayomer Elav, he says to him, Ani Hashem. I am Hashem. I am the one who decides. And when you're saying Yud K Vav K, that means I give the energy for every single thing in the world. When you say Yud Hey Vav Hey, very interesting. Let's see if I can put it somewhere on the screen. Let's see if I got a. Okay, let's have a little fun over here. Let's hope this comes out not the wrong way. Let's put the Yud. Okay, then we're going to put the Hey. Ay, where's the letters today? Hey. And the Vav. And the Hey. Okay, that name of Hashem it's also as the root of mehavet, to bring things into reality. That's Hashem saying, brings things into reality. He creates all reality. He is all reality. As opposed to Elohim. Elohim is like the master of all forces. He can rules with justice. But Yudei Vaveh is like saying, I'm the respirator of the entire universe. So obviously, everything goes exactly the way I want it. If you do a job, you think you're going to succeed on your own. You only succeed if I give you the ability to succeed. So the most, like, what am I here for? What am I here for if I can't make the success? So Hashem says, I'm not interested in you making the success. I'm interested in one thing, l'kayim devari, to fulfill my words. That's it, which I spoke to the patriarchs. And that's really all the patriarchs ever did. They fulfilled my words. And success is not a barometer of you being a good Jew. So I understand you're upset. You're screaming at me. You're upset. Why are the Jewish people suffering? This is not working. Why did you send me? Hashem says, you don't have to worry about that. You just need to know one thing. Did you do what I told you to the best of your abilities? Yes or no? And in my mind, Hashem says, you did the best of your ability. And you know you're going to be rewarded for this because you went, you walked before me. And those are the exact words that Hashem said to Avram before his circumcision. Walk before me and be complete. So you did exactly what I wanted to do. And that's such a powerful message. As we're starting the redemption cycle, many of us are trying to do our best to grow and succeed in doing the will of Hashem. A lot of times you're trying to do what's right and things don't work out at all the way you plan. And what's our knee-jerk reaction? Our knee-jerk reaction is to complain to Hashem. So on the one hand, you got to realize that's not a good thing to do. if you really understood what that meant, that is like blasphemous. What are you criticizing Hashem for? Like he doesn't know what's going on? And Hashem should let you have it. To say, Hashem, you told me to do this, and the idea backfired. So on the one hand, you should really get it. But since Moshe did it with such sincerity, he did it because he cared so much about the Jews. Hashem said, I can't punish him for that. What he says in anguish over the Jews, I can't punish him for that. But I need to teach him a little bit of a lesson. Don't forget, Ani Hashem, I'm the Lord. I run everything. And if you fail, doesn't mean you failed. It means I didn't want you to succeed. And you just got to know, were you l'kayim devarai? Did you do my words? That's all I had. And in terms of redemption that we're looking for to get out of our own personal exile, the biggest exile we have is, as they say, expectations of success. Because not all of us are going to succeed all the time or even some of the time. Many times we try our hardest and we fail. We try our hardest and we fail. We try our hardest and we fail. After a few more failures, you say, why should I bother trying? And the answer is, you know why? Because you have to ask yourself the honest question. Am I doing the will of Hashem or am I not doing the will of Hashem? If the answer is I'm doing the will of Hashem, then you don't have to worry about the results. You don't have to worry about the results. You know, I can prepare a Zoom class. And what happens? Sometimes the whole thing blacks out. Right? Remember we had that, I don't know if I had it in this class. I had it in other classes over this last 10 months. You think every Zoom class came out so great? Sometimes right in the middle, boom, we're out. I remember, I think it was one night. So what?
Yes.
And then for 2 hours, I had no power. I had no nothing. So instead of being upset and angry, I said, I guess the will of Hashem is I prepared this whole class and he doesn't want me to give it. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, Hashem is the one who decides what the results. Don't look at the results. Just ask yourself an honest question. Did you do what you had to do? So this is not a superfluous pasuk. At the end of last week's Parsha, now you're going to see what I'm going to do. As if Hashem is almost taunting him. Moshe is saying, what did you send me for? Hashem said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. I'm going to take care of it. But I don't understand. So what did you send me for? You know what I sent you for? For one thing, just do what I said. That's it. I didn't ask you to succeed. And that needs a whole pasuk of the Torah to tell us that. To show that on the one hand, Hashem knows how Moshe is feeling. And he's saying, listen, I let it go this time because I know how much pain you're in. But I want you to know such a talk that you're upset that you failed deserves a harsh judgment from Hashem. Because really you're forgetting the most important message, and it's that I'm the Lord. Remember, I am still the Lord. Even if you're doing the will of Hashem, I'm still the Lord. And if I'm the Lord, that means I decide if you succeed or you don't succeed. So then Moshe's thinking, so what did I bother? What am I doing this all for? Hashem says, is it an exercise in futility? No, it's an exercise in obeying God. And at the end of the day, even if the Jews never went out of Egypt, Hashem would reward Moshe for wanting to take them out of Egypt. So when we're talking about the beginning of the redemption, and each and every one of us wants to get out of our own Mitzrayim, we have to realize, let's not be fooled by success. Success can be our greatest Yetzer Hara. But I didn't succeed. So again, you have to always analyze. If you did a lousy job, you didn't do your homework, you didn't prepare properly to do what you had to do, and you failed, well, then don't blame Hashem for your mistakes when you totally are not doing your job. But when Moshe, who did not want the job, one thing's for sure, he didn't do it for kavod and honor. That's for sure. Because it took Hashem forever to convince him to go. He was like pushing him to go. So for sure, he's doing it because Hashem wants him to do it. So you figure, okay, if you want me to do it already, Hashem, so let it succeed. And Hashem is teaching him the biggest lesson. It's not about success. But the Jewish people are suffering more. Stop worrying about all the calculations. Do you ever have a situation, let's say you have two friends, or family members who are fighting with each other, and you're trying to make shalom between them? Ever happen? And then it backfires? You ever have that? You ever have that? And nobody's upset at you. You thought I had a great idea. You'll try and speak to this one, speak to that. Someone get them together. You're not getting anything out of this, but you know Hashem wants to see shalom. And then whatever, something else comes up you weren't planning on, and somebody found out something you didn't want them to find out, and then all of a sudden you get stuck holding the bag, and everybody's angry at you. So wouldn't we respond like Moshe the same way? Hashem, it wasn't worth it for me to try to make shalom. The answer is it was worth it. If you did it l'shem shamayim, it was worth it. And so why'd you send me? Just to give you a reward. That's it. Just to give you an opportunity to be the amazing person that you can be, regardless of the results. Okay, that's a second interpretation. Good. Any questions when I get to the third and final one? We're good?
Good.
So the Kli Yakar says an amazing pshat over here. An amazing pshat. And again, this is all part of understanding what's going on over here. So far we understand between Elohim and Hashem, and there's a duality in his discussion with Moshe. That he's saying, on the one hand you had chutzpah, but I'll let it go because I know you did it for the sake of the Jewish people. On the other, and the other deeper interpretation is Hashem saying, you know what you did was really not good because you don't know that I'm running the show. But just remember why you failed. That has nothing to do with anything. Third pshat is Hashem is going to Moshe at his core and at his essence. There's two ways to refer to him. One is Moshe, and one is a love. And that's the final question we have to address. Because again, clearly the word a love is really extra because it says Vayidaber Elokim el Moshe. So you could say, okay, Hashem spoke harshly to Moshe, and then Vayomer he softened up and said, Ani Hashem. But even with that, what do you need a love for? Because it just said Hashem spoke to Moshe. And he said, just say, and he said, Ani Hashem. Okay, I got the duality. There was judgment, there was softness, harshness, softness. But Moshe is Moshe, isn't he? Right? So the Kli Yakar commentary notices this. And he asks a question, what is Moshe's name? It's Moshe. Now, let's see if I can do this. Oh, I'm gonna have to put it down somewhere else. I want to just contrast these. Let me see if I can copy this and plop it down over here somewhere. Let's put it here. Okay. Now let's write another word. Okay, it's gonna be hard if I can put the dots in too, but that's gonna be a little tricky over here. But what name would be more appropriate for Moshe? Is it Moshe or where's that letter? Or Mosui. Mosui. What's the difference? Mosui. First of all, what's the word Moshe mean? What does that word Moshe mean? Bisia gave him the name Moshe. Why did she call him Moshe? What does Moshe mean? Moshe means drawn out of the water. Fascinating. His name was drawn. Now, Mosui literally means drawn in the past tense. And Moshe was drawn from the water. So if you're talking about his name being because of the event that he was drawn out of the water, when you look at this baby, we should call him Mosui. Mosui, which means he was drawn in the past, present. Okay, that's what it is. He's drawn out of the water. But it doesn't say that. The word Moshe is the present tense, which means And somehow there was a little bit, remember, whenever a name is given, there's a little bit of divine intervention over here. And Bishya didn't call him the one who was drawn, but the one who is drawing. Does anybody have an idea what the difference could be between those two words? If your name is your essence, and the name that he was given was not drawn, but drawing, what possible difference could that be in terms of Moshe's life mission? Anybody have any idea? How could that fit into what would that be Moshe's life statement about?
Rabbi, I'll take a crack at this. If
Go
he's
ahead.
drawing, that means maybe he hasn't completed his task. He started it. He's drawing.
Okay.
He's initiated it, but hasn't completed it.
Good, but what is the task as it applies to that word? You're on the right track.
Take the
So what is the task? I'm sorry, I can't hear. I got Nicole's hand is up. I see a hand up. So
Maybe to
Nicole,
draw the Jews out of Egypt.
to say it one more time.
To draw the Jews out of Egypt, like
Exactly. To draw them out of the exile. Because aren't the Jews drowning in the exile? They're called like waters of iniquity, right? So his name was his mission. Literally, we're going to call him, drawing. Your life is going to be a life of drawing people out of there. Think about all the times he did that. How many stories? The Egyptian was beating up the Jew. He was drawing the Jew out of trouble. The next day, two Jews are fighting with each other. He's trying to draw them away from the evil behavior. He has to run away from Egypt. First place he goes to Midian. He sees these bad guys attacking the daughters of Lot. He throws them away. And what does he do? He draws water to feed the sheep. He's always drawing. He's always pulling people. He got pulled out, but that would be in the past. Past was nice. And the truth is that did something because somebody else drew him out of drowning. So now he has to drown others from drowning. Okay. So now Hashem is saying to Moshe, Vayidaber Elokim el Moshe. Hashem is speaking to Moshe. He's speaking to the Moshe, the name that you had. Moshe, don't you understand your name? Your name is to always be drawing. So you're upset with a setback? Are you the person that you're gonna, get your job done and then retire afterwards? Your job is always to draw people. And when you're drawing people, guess what? It doesn't always go easy. The fact that he goes to Paro, he's trying to draw Paro out of his intransigence. But it's not a life of you just do it and finish and it's over. It's a continuous presence. His job is always to draw, never give up in drawing. So that's where Vayidaber Elokim, the attribute of justice, comes to Moshe. Moshe, that's your name. And as your name, shouldn't you realize that success is not going to come so quickly? Think about what your name is. So that's on the one hand. And therefore, he's being attribute of justice. He's saying, you know what? If you would just think of what you are and who you're all about, you would come to that answer. But on the other hand, there was something else. And what was the something else? Vayomer Elav. He spoke to him. He saw another aspect of Moshe. There was the Moshe aspect, but then to him. And what did Moshe have? What baggage did he have? He was a kvad peh. He had a language problem. He stammered. He stuttered. And therefore, what do you think is going through Moshe's mind? What's going through his mind is, I'm never going to be a good leader. I stutter, I stammer. When I want to talk to Park, I can hardly get the words out. I'm a failure. So therefore, Hashem says, you know what? I can understand why you would feel responsible for the failure and why you feel this was a wholly not appropriate mission. So what Hashem is doing, you see, what's happening here is so beautiful. Hashem is saying, you know, like everybody in the world, we've got strengths and we got weaknesses. And Moshe is criticizing Moshe for not realizing what his strength is. But he has compassion on him because he sees that Moshe was focusing on his weakness, which also existed. So I believe what the Kli Yakar is mentioning, Hashem is acknowledging the duality of Moshe. There's the Moshe and then there's the Elav. Moshe is the name that he was given. What he was given was, you're given a power and a destiny to keep drawing people. That's your destiny. But the Elav, the way he felt about himself was, I can't even talk. I'm not even a leader. I told you not to send me. I'm not a good leader. So Hashem, on the one hand, speaks harshly and saying, Moshe, you should know better. You should know what your name is and what your mission in life is. And don't run away from it. Don't complain about what your mission is. But on the other hand, we have some natural realities to deal with. And the natural reality is I don't speak very well. I'm not a powerful speaker. I'm not a persuader. You gave me a job that I'm not capable of doing. So Hashem says, I understand. I understand how you feel. I understand that you have this. And therefore that mitigates a lot of my criticism. So I think, again, I think this is so powerful because, you know, there's all, you know, it's interesting. The Gemara says, you know, we should not feed a little baby boy. Let's say baby boy, in the olden days, no baby bottles. You got a nurse. And if the mother couldn't nurse, what do? You paid a wet nurse, a strange lady to nurse the baby. The halacha is, what if the only straight, what if you can use a non-Jew to nurse the baby? Interesting question. Is a non-Jewish mother's milk treif? Well, the answer is not. The answer is not. But still, if at all possible, don't use a non-Jewish woman's breast milk. And the question is why? Why? What's wrong? Are we racist? I mean, there's nothing, it's milk. What's wrong? So she's a non-Jewish woman. So do we make a difference if the cow is Jewish or not? Right? So I mean, what's the deal? What's the big deal here? So you know what the rabbis explain? Because they say, well, let's look at Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, when Bishya took him out of the water, and she knew the baby had to be nursed, and it looked like a baby, she didn't know who the mother was. So what did she do? She brought him to all the Egyptian wet nurses to nurse him. He wouldn't nurse. And Miriam's watching. So what's happening? So Miriam says, you know, maybe I'll find a Jewish nurse. She says, okay. And Yocheved ends up nursing her own child. What's the Gemara say? Why did that happen that way? You know why it happened that way? Gemara says that mouth, that the divine voice of God would come out of him at Sinai with the 10 Commandments. That mouth should never have nursed from a non-Jewish woman. Not that it's treif, but it just doesn't make sense. You know, you are what you eat and what you nurse, you give over. And this non-Jewish woman, she's going to put some of that non-Jewish, you know, indirectly affect that mouth of Moshe's holy mouth. So it just doesn't make sense for him to nurse from a non-Jewish woman. And therefore the halacha is a little baby boy should not nurse from a non-Jewish woman, if at all possible. If his life's in danger, it's a different story. So what's the question on this halacha? Anybody have an idea what the question on this halacha is? What could you ask on this halacha?
What about the girl?
What about the girls? That's a good question. What about the girls? How about better? Let's take any boy that's born today. Do you think any boy that's born today is going to be Moshe Rabbeinu?
It could be in the Mashiach.
Maybe.
Not likely. And that was a unique story with Moshe Rabbeinu. I mean, nobody else is going to be like that. So what's the answer? The answer is every child can be their Moshe Rabbeinu. Who's to say, if you raise a child, writing him off right away, that's not a good thing. So let's see what's going on. So you got a Moshe Rabbeinu. A Moshe Rabbeinu, and this is usually how it is with most people in life. I think we could look at our own lives this way as well. Now, certainly, if we really give an honest evaluation of ourselves and our real strengths and our real talents, we should have an idea of what the mission of our life is. And some of us may be Moshes. We have to keep drawing people out. We got to always be the peacemaker. We got to, that could be your mission. And at the same time, God will create us with a certain part of our personality that will feel I'm not cut out for that mission. You see what's going on over here? And that's the tension that a person has. And I think Hashem does that on purpose. Because if Hashem gives you a mission, of course you got certain talents. And Moshe had a lot of talents. Let's not sell so short. To be a leader, you have to be humble. He definitely had a lot of good qualifications to do what he had to do. But there was a big, huge one. How in the world can he be a leader if he can hardly talk? So that means often Hashem gives us missions in life, and the name that we were given tells us what our mission is. And Hashem's saying, if you would just listen to what your mission is, you'd stop complaining. But Hashem says, I understand why you're complaining, because the tools that I gave you don't appear to match the mission that you have. You hear? Your job is to pull. How do you pull with a golden tongue, right? The words come out. They're so persuasive. You pull people with the words. That's all they did. Convince people. And he's going, blah, 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 blah. Well, how am I going to do that? So he goes to Parsha and says, what's going on with these guys? Bunch of jerks. I'm going to make the work worse. That's exactly what Moshe dreaded. He's like, Hashem, you gave me a job I can't do. So Vayomer Elokim al Moshe, Hashem says, listen, you had a job to do. Moshe is your name. Moshe is your job. And don't you dare think you shouldn't do it. And if you do, I'm going to judge you harshly for this. You're going to be judged harshly. But you know what? But I also have mercy on you, because Vayomer Elov, but I do know that you also have other parts that seem to challenge you to be able to live up to that mission. And remember, God says, and I gave you both. Hashem says at the same time that when you were born, you had this mission and you were given this name of Moshe to draw people out continuously. That's your life's calling. And at the same time, I also gave you something that seems to contradict that. Vayomer Elov. So on the one hand, Hashem has to be tough on us and say, why aren't you living up to your mission? The other hand, playing soft and say, but I understand why you may have decided not, because you thought you weren't cut out for it. But at the end of the day, it's, you know what? You may fail. I gave you the job and you may have failed. Maybe because yes, I'm such a great tug. But at the end of the day, Ani Hashem. I'm the Lord. I'm the one who gave you the mission. I'm the one who gave you the impediments to the mission. And all I want to see you do is try your best. And if that's, and once you try your best, be happy and don't worry about the results. Wish you could have accomplished this, doesn't matter. You did what Hashem wanted, that's all. And it could be the very liabilities I gave you was the reason why you failed. But you lived up to your mission to try the mission, even though you failed. It'll work out. At the end of the day, the Jews got out of Egypt not because of Moshe, because Hashem makes 10 plagues. So Hashem fills in the shortfall and you get the job done at the end anyway. And that's an important message. A lot of us want, raising kids, not easy. Some of us have a mission to raise kids, and Hashem gave us certain midos that are counterproductive for raising kids. And that's making you seem to fail the mission. So Hashem saying, listen, just do your best. Try to do it wholeheartedly. And you may fail, but at the end of the day, I'll make sure that they come out okay, in spite of your inability. That's the real lesson. And that's what real freedom is. Because if you're always worried about failure, that you're at fault, then you're not free to try. And that's probably the most powerful message of the pasuk. Okay, how's that for a small pasuk?
Powerful.
Good message, eh?
Very good.
Okay. So have an amazing night, guys. Behave with the curfew. Okay, it starts at 12:01.
Wow.
12:01 is the curfew. The police are going to be looking for you. Okay.